So the Browns won, I guess. Pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting them to win, but yeah, Browns win. All right, welcome back to Browns. Oops, wrong thing, misclicked. Browns Breakdowns here, proud partners of Fanatical L's Network, Fans First Sports Network. Let me get my volume set so I can actually hear what's going on. Browns win against the Steelers. Pretty crazy game, amazing second half. Just making sure I can actually hear what I'm saying. Browns win. The final score was 24-19. Thursday Night Football. If you look at the title of the thing, it was Winter Wonderland. It was very snowy in the game, but it was 24-19. Browns with the victory. There's not much more to say other than I hate the Steelers, but yeah, Browns managed to win the game. It was a pretty impressive game. It was Thursday Night Football, so you got to watch all of it. Let me see if there's power rankings really quickly. But the Browns do end up winning. So it doesn't look like there's power rankings right now because of the lack of a Sunday Night Football game. Now, unfortunately, I can't really... some, but there's no... So there'll be no power rankings. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, maybe. Oh, by the way, if you're not thinking of Hemisphere Coffee Roasters, you're thinking incorrectly. Use that referral code, we get 15% of the money. So yeah, please think of Hemisphere Coffee Roasters and think of buying them. Actually, you just should straight up buy them no matter what you're thinking. Greatest coffee you'll ever have in your life. Anyway, back to the Browns. Or power rankings. I mean, I don't have power rankings for you guys, unfortunately, because I'm recording this on Monday, and it should hopefully be released today as well. The Monday Night Football game hasn't been played. Now, I know it's weird seeing this episode on Monday. That's just because of the Thursday night game. I would have released it on Wednesday, but I didn't want it to be a whole week, basically, after. What does that sound? Okay, I was hearing something. It's coming from outside, but yeah. So it's coming out today, hopefully on Monday. I know, weird timing, but I messed up with the whole Thursday Night Football. I didn't give it a prediction episode. I didn't do any of that. That was my fault. It just didn't compute in my brain. I just didn't realize it didn't compute. It just, everything fell apart, and I just didn't even remember that it was a Thursday game and I need to record another episode. So I apologize about that. So schedule is a little bit messed up. Don't worry, there will still be an episode on Saturday, which will be the final November episode, actually, November 30th. And then it'll be Christmas season, if it isn't Christmas season already. But anyway, that was the reason why this whole schedule is messed up. I apologize for that. No power rankings. But anyway, I have to sneeze. But I'm not going to because I'm a good radio person. Anyway, let's go to the player stats. So for the Steelers, Russell Wilson was 21 for 28, 270, and 1 touchdown. Rushing, they were okay. Jalen Warren was 11 for 45 for a touchdown. Najee Harris was 16 for 41 and a touchdown, or not a touchdown, sorry, just 16 for 41. Justin Fields was 3 for 26, and Russell Wilson was 3 for 10 on a few scrambles. I forgot Cordell Patterson plays for the Steelers now. It's so weird because Patterson was a Falcon for a while. But anyway, Calvin Austin was their leading receiver with 3 for 78 and a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth was 4 for 59. George Pickens, who we'll get into later, 4 for 48. Van Jefferson, 2 for 39. Jalen Warren, 3 for 19. Defensively, they had an interception from Dante Jackson and a sack from Nick Herbig. But it doesn't look like there was any other defensive stuff, so that's nice. Now the Browns stats. Let's go to the Browns. Jameis Winston was okay, I guess. Not really that good. 18 for 27, 219 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Nick James Winston had a rushing touchdown. Nick Chubb, though, finally we get to see good Nick Chubb. 20 for 59 and 2 touchdowns. Amazing game from Nick Chubb there. That's what we wanted to see. Great game from Nick Chubb. Jerry Jeudy was the leading receiver. He was really good in that final about 6 minutes. He was 6 for 85. Jordan Akins 3 for 38. Blake Whiteheart 1 for 29. Cedric Tillman 2 for 28. Elijah Moore 3 for 21. David Njoku 1 for 9, but it was a very important 1 for 9 and a very cool catch too. It was a pretty impressive catch. Jerome Ford 1 for 8 and Nick Chubb 1 for 1. Defensively, Myles Garrett went off. He had 3 sacks. Jordan Hicks had a sack. And that looks like it was the only sacks that we had. Yep. But Myles Garrett was amazing in that game. The Browns, in terms of team stats, were 304 in total yards. Steelers 368. We had 219 passing yards. They had 248. We had 85 rushing yards. They had 120. We were both even on yards per play at 5.5. We were also even on I can't speak. We were also even on first downs. Both teams had 17 first downs. Here's the craziest part, though. Browns were 1 for 10 on third down. We were abysmal on third down. The Steelers were 7 for 16. We only got a third down on that, was it 3rd and 14 play? Or was it 3rd and 12? I think it was 3rd and 12. There was a whole sequence of plays where the Browns did their play. There was a flag. It was 4th and 2. Then they declined the penalty, so it became 3rd and 12. But then they re-accepted the penalty and became 4th and 2. But then they got rid of the penalty and it became 3rd and 12 again. I don't know what happened. But it went from 4th and 2 and 3rd and 12 like 3 times. But that was the only third down conversion was that play, I believe. And then, but we were 4 for 4 on 4th down. The Steelers were only 1 for 3. We had 55 total plays. They had 67. We had 1 sack. They had 4. Crazy number here. 3 punts for us, only 1 for the Steelers. We were 8 for 48 on penalties. They were 6 for 39. We had 2 fumbles, but I will say, I will give them a little bit of slack because 2 fumbles in the weather that happened was quite unshocking. It's not easy to hold on to a football when it's freezing cold and snowing outside, especially when you're warming up the football with. It's like when you put it down on the ground, there's snow getting on the bottom, and then your hands are melting it. Usually, when it's sliding around, it's really annoying. We had 1 interception, they had 0, and then time of possession, we only had 24 minutes and 58 seconds, and they had 35 minutes and 2 seconds. So some pretty crazy stats here. Again, no power ranking, unfortunately. I still have my power ranking. I did it. I just haven't moved up the 2 teams, the Ravens and the Chargers, yet. I will put the Browns, which I know is what basically anyone cares about, is the Browns are at 28 right now. I still don't think they're very good, but we're going to put the Browns at 28. No, I'm reading the wrong team. My apologies. The Browns are at 24. I have the Cleveland Browns at 24. I still don't think they're good, but I think they're better than a lot of these bad teams. The biggest, I guess, suck of the game was the draft pick problem because we went from the 2nd draft pick to the 7th draft pick. So we fell back we either fell back from 2 to 7 or 2 to 9, but we fell back 5 or 7 spots, which is bad, I would say, but there's a lot of games we can continue to lose. But let's do the advertisements really quickly, and then we will get to the game talk, and if the Steelers are frauds, they are. All right, welcome back now to Browns Breakdowns, proud partners of Fanatical Owls Network. So, Browns win. If you didn't already know, you should. Great game. It was a very cool game, especially with the snow. I think it's the first snow game of the season. So cool. It was very snowy, actually. There were a lot of instances. If you checked, by the way, all the coaches, including Stefanski and Tomlin, had snow drifts where the snow, I can't demonstrate it really well with the cowboy hat, but the snow was up right here on the hat, and then it would drift down until it was not on any side because of where the wind was blowing. It was pretty funny seeing the snow drift on their own heads. But yeah, it was a snowy game. It was actually a pretty significant amount of snow. You could watch whenever the plays ended. There would always be a guy out there with a shovel, just shoveling all up the snow. It was a pretty decent amount of snow. So it was our first snow game of the season. I think personally, I know it sucks to play in, but snow games are my favorite. There's just something about the football condition of a snow game. I know people argue that, and with this new dome stadium, this is one of the last snow games we're going to have. Well, it's not guaranteed, but with a dome that we're planning on building, we only have maybe 5 more years before we won't get snow games anymore, or however long it's going to take to build it. I don't know. Eventually, though, with a new stadium, there will not be any snow games because of the dome. So that is unfortunate, but it has to happen. But savor the snow games while you can, because they will eventually go away. I think a lot of teams, if not all NFL teams, other than maybe teams in like Florida or even Florida or Texas, but you can't really do it in Texas, but in the fairest of weather states. So like there's so many teams with a dome already. I think in the next 20 years, every single NFL team will be playing in a dome. And if they are not, they will only be maybe 2 or 3, and they'll all be California teams. Right? SoFi is not going to... The Chargers and the Rams aren't going to change stadiums in the next 30 years. They're going to stick with SoFi for the next 50 years, probably. But that counts as a dome. So the only 3 teams you'll see are going to be California teams, and 3 of them are already... Anyway, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, snow game. It was an awesome snow game. Snow games are really cool. I do think they are unbelievably annoying to play in just because of all the different conditions. But it is a very, very cool snow game. And it was against our in-division rivals. There was a lot of, I guess, how would you put this? Tension, maybe, on the game, because this was the first game against the Steelers of the season. This was also the first game against the Steelers that Nick Chubb has played. This is the first game in more than a year that Nick Chubb has. So this is his first game against the Steelers since that injury against the Steelers. So there was obviously that big thing that this was his first game back against the Steelers since he got hurt against the Steelers. That Steelers game that he got hurt sucked, by the way. I never want to watch that game again. But it was and then it was against the Steelers, who have been playing. I just can't stop talking badly. But the Steelers were 8-2 at the time. They were playing quite good football with a lot of, we were talking, are the Steelers going to win the division? Are they going to make a 2 seed even? 2 or 3 seed, and are they going to be potential contenders for an AFC or even Super Bowl chance? I think they still do have that opportunity, even with this loss, but I think this definitely dampens the media's approach to if the Steelers are bad or not. I think this also really puts the fraud sticker above the Steelers' heads right now. I think they have a lot to prove in the next few weeks, because you don't just up and lose to the Browns. We suck sometimes. And the Steelers, who are 8-2, people were like, are these guys going to be a 2 or 3 seed who has a chance to win all these accolades? This really puts a damper on that. And I think this definitely puts them in, are the Steelers a fraud category. I think right now we 100% have to look at that as are the Steelers actually just fraudulent? I could have told you the Steelers were fraudulent weeks ago. But they're the Steelers, so they always are fraudulent. Anyway, it's just funny that we have 3 wins. One against the Jaguars, who suck, terrible team. The other, it's the Jaguars, right? I really don't want to sound stupid. Okay, it was over the Jaguars. We have 3 wins. The Jaguars, and then we beat the Ravens, and then we beat the Steelers 3 weeks later. What is this win? We have beaten the Ravens, who were at the time one of the best teams in the league. We beat the Steelers, who were at the time one of the best teams in the league. Crazy stuff. Our last 6 games right now, if you wanted to know, are the Broncos on the 2nd, the Steelers on the 8th. So we only play, after the Broncos game, we play the Steelers again. Then we have the Chiefs on the 15th, Bengals on the 22nd, Dolphins on the 29th, and the Ravens on the January 5th. So we're going to play the Steelers in just 2 weeks now. It's a noon game. The Broncos-Browns is actually Sunday Night Football. I don't know if they're going to flex that out. Probably not, though, because the people are very interested in the Broncos. And then we also have another Sunday Night Football on the Dolphins and Browns. December 29th. Is that a Monday or Sunday Night Football? The 29th is Sunday Night Football. Okay. So you have 2 more primetime games. Who knows if they're going to get flexed out. I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins-Browns got flexed out, because the Dolphins have not been very good this year. They've been okay, but they haven't been great. Anyway, we won, and I think it's just fascinating that the Browns, 2 of their 3 wins are against the Ravens, who are at the time one of the best teams in the league, and then against the Steelers, who are at the time one of the best teams in the league. It's quite funny. Again, I'm not going to complain. I hate both teams. I know they hate us too, but that's just AFC North football. I think right now, though, we have to be careful. We are out of the playoffs. Let's be honest here. We're not making the playoffs. We need to be careful with who and when we beat these teams and how many times we beat them. Because if we win too many games, which I don't think is going to happen, we're going to start sacrificing draft slots, which is detrimental to the future of the team, because the more draft slots we fall, the less trade value you can get, the less of a good rookie you might be able to get, things like that. And I think in a team where we're having these problems and we need to look to the future a lot more than we need to look at the present, draft capital is a very, very important, and losing games, whether we want to or not, should be a priority of some sort. I mean, the Cowboys are dealing with it right now. They suck. Let's be honest here. They're not that good of a team. They're good. They have some good players. That Cowboys Commanders game was wild, by the way. That ending was insane. But the Cowboys aren't good. Let's be honest here. I know, because I'm literally in Dallas. I listen to the Dallas Cowboys radio every single day. I watch the Cowboys most of the time just because they're on TV. The Cowboys aren't that good of a team. And then they beat the Commanders, and now the Cowboys just lost like 7 draft spots, taking them from like 5 to 14 or something. And that's going to be very big for them, because that's 7 to 9 spots of draft capital that they just lose. And they can get them back if they keep losing games, but the Cowboys still have a chance to make the playoffs. And so there's, in theory, an opportunity for them to win the next 4 games and then make the playoffs and blah, 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 losing the wild card. Come on, let's be honest here. But with the Browns, we don't have that opportunity. So we need to, if we beat the Steelers and we beat the Ravens again and then lose everything else, fine, right? That's totally fine with me, because I would love to shove that into Ravens and Steelers fans' faces, because I don't like Ravens and Steelers fans' faces. I just don't like them in general. Their faces aren't great either, but I just don't like them in general. But the more we win, the worse our season ends up being, which I know sounds really weird. You're like, what the heck do you mean? We win? How is the season worse? Because as you win, you lose draft position. So you go from 1 to 4 to 8 to 12, blah, blah, blah. That's just arbitrary numbers. There's no like real system. But as you can, especially in this season where there's like 9 teams with 4 or less wins, there's a lot of competition right now for a top 5 pick, and every single win does in fact count. So every single win will. So yes, I know that makes no sense. You're like, what the heck? How does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. But yes, winning right now does in fact hurt the season, which sounds insane, but it's true. We need to be careful about who we beat and when we beat them, because if we beat a team that's competing for us for a top 5 pick, we get a win, they get a loss, so we just completely screw ourselves over. So we need to be very careful with who we beat and when we beat them, and we just need to not win, other than beat the Steelers and the Ravens. But that's in the future. Today we won the game, or I guess a week ago, but we win. So that's all I have for you guys today. Go Browns. Amazing game by the Browns there. I'm extremely happy. Let me turn my music down so I don't blast everyone's ears out when I play the outro. But yeah, I mean, go Browns. It was a great game, fun to watch. It was boring for the first 3 quarters, but it was great in the second and final about 6 minutes. But we beat the Steelers, Winter Wonderland, as the title says. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. I will be back on the 30th. I believe the 30th. Let me pull up my schedule one more time. Yep, the 30th. So I will be back then. So have an amazing Thanksgiving, since I will not be back before Thanksgiving. So have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys on Saturday. Peace.